What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Master and Drum. I am Jason C, and today we are reviewing one of my favorite releases every year. It's the Michter's US1 Toasted Barrel Finish Rye. Now, Michter's has been releasing toasted barrel finished whiskeys since 2015, but the toasted rye seems to be the one with the most excitement each year. Well, the 2020 version is here, and it's today's review on the Mash and Drum. So in 2015, Michter's launched their toasted barrel finished straight bourbon whiskey, and although the reviews weren't great, including from me, I really wasn't a fan of their toasted bourbon. All the bourbon nerds, though, realized how unique it was, and it quickly sold out, as well as prices going crazy on the secondary market. So as the legend of Michter's toasted bourbon continued to build, and with no other product like it on the market, we wouldn't see another like it for another couple years. And then 2017 came along, and then Michter's released their first bottling of a toasted barrel finish straight rye whiskey. Now the difference was Michter's bottled it in a single barrel form and at cask strength, which varied from barrel to barrel. Now an age statement isn't given, but like most of Michter's products that don't carry an age statement, it's believed to be only around 5 or 6 years old. But Michter's does use heat cycled warehouses, which could give this the feel of more of an 8 to 9 year old bourbon rather than a 5 to 6. So to make this, Michter's toasted barrel finish rye takes fully matured Michter's US1 single barrel rye at barrel strength, and then ages it in a second custom barrel made to the specifications set by Michter's Master of Maturation, Andrea Wilson. She mentioned for the 2020 release, we selected rye barrels aged to peak quality and then dumped each barrel into a second barrel assembled from 24-month naturally seasoned air-dried wood that was custom toasted to extract sweet characters to create a rich and decadent rye whiskey experience. All right, guys, so the average proof for the 2020 Toasted Rye Edition was 109.2 proof. This is chill filtered, unfortunately, but has a suggested retail price of about 85 bucks. All right, guys, so let's dive in. Let's see what we got on the nose for the 2020 Michter's Toasted. Here we go. All right, so the first couple things that I noticed when I first nosed this whiskey was, first, the abrupt scent of oak you get on the nose. And not in a bitter or strong, like funky oak way. This is more of a sweet oak. The heat cycled warehouses definitely give a very, a very big influence on. So I mean, it just doesn't smell like it's 5 to 6 years old. I definitely think it smells older than it actually is. And also, it actually comes off a little bit like a high rye MGP bourbon. So because this is a Kentucky rye, it's a barely legal rye. We're talking maybe 51, 52, 53% of a rye in the mash bill. You get a lot of sweet flavors, so this could come off as a, as a high rye bourbon too. Man, maple syrup, ton of maple syrup on this. It's like breakfast. Marshmallow. I think marshmallow is one of those notes that just tends to come out from these toasted barrel finished whiskeys. I get it in Woodford Double Oaked. I got it in the Elijah Craig Toasted that just recently released, and I'm getting it here as well. There's definitely like a toffee note coming on, so very, very rich, like caramels, almost butterscotch-like. Man, I can't get that maple syrup, cinnamon, breakfasty kind of, scent coming out of the glass here. This is like if you friggin' took just like some really good waffles, put some maple syrup on top of it, then maybe took some fluff, put that on top of the waffle, and then like torched it on top. Remember the torch that I was showing you in the beginning of the video in the B-roll? torch some of that marshmallow with that, and then eat that. That's what I'm getting in this glass. It's very sweet. It's very inviting. It definitely smells like dessert. Let's taste it. Here we go. Cheers, guys. So you may not get the rye punch on the nose, but you get it on the palate. Here comes the spice. Cinnamon, black pepper. But then once this hits mid-palate, man, all those sweet flavors come back. The toffee, the butterscotch. Those Werther's original candies that I love to talk about that I used to eat growing up. Very, very butterscotchy, very sweet, but also a nice balance. It has that nice little kick to it. Let's go for another sip. So the difference in this one and why I like it over the Michter's bourbon, the Michter's toasted bourbon, and it might be the reason why it took me a little while to warm up to the Elijah Craig toasted bourbon as well. It's because the sweet oak that's on the back end of those and the finish you get, sometimes it's just a little bit bitter. It just comes off as this weird funky bitterness to it. But the front and mid palates are amazing. Now, the reason why I love the rye over the bourbons is because the spiciness of the rye just together goes hand in hand with that sweet flavor that you get from the toasted oak. I mean, the balance of it, I think, is just really great. Let's go for another sip here. I'm getting like a dark raspberry note here. Some fruity flavors are coming through. Definitely a little bit of citrus here, especially on that second sip. All the different flavors and layers now start coming out. Again, you still get the nice spiciness from the rye up front, lingering on the. It's kind of like this beautiful like rye sandwich. you got right in the front. You got all the spiciness, the rye, the black pepper. Then right when it hits mid palate, here comes all the sweet. Werther's original candies, maple syrup, marshmallow. And then right on the back end, to finish the sandwich, you get another piece of like rye and spice and black pepper. And then you kind of wait a little bit, and then you just get this huge burst of vanilla cream and like frosted, like vanilla frosting. It's got one of those after finishes, like I call it. Like after you just sit and wait a second, all of a sudden it comes back, and then all these other flavors kind of emerge. It's really cool. Let's go for one last sip. Then we're gonna do a quick comparison. There's more honey on the palate now that I'm picking up. It's just so well balanced. It's so sweet. I'm not getting any sort of bitterness on the back end of this like I was with some other toasted products that I've had. Woodford Double Oaked, I don't really get a bitterness too, but the Elijah Craig and the Michter's Toasted Bourbon, I definitely got a funky, weird finish on that one. But the front and the sweetness of the mid palate on those definitely were really good. But this just kind of has the whole package. So really enjoying 2020. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare this now to the 2017, which I have, which was the first release of this ever, the first year it released. And I'm also going to compare it to the regular Michter's Barrel Strength Rye and see what differences we get. All right, guys, so let's do a comparison. This is the 2017 Michter's US 1 Toasted Barrel Rye. This is the 2020. And then we have, which is probably one of my favorite, my favorite barrel strength rye whiskey right now, which is the Michter's Barrel Proof Rye. Although, I will say that rare breed rye is up there. I'm gonna have to do a video and see if this is still truly my favorite barrel proof rye. I have to do a blind comparison here with maybe some rare breed, see how that goes. But yeah, absolutely delicious stuff. So let's do a quick comparison here. Let's go to the 2017 and compare it to the 2020. Now the 2017 has been open, obviously a good amount. I only found this though, maybe last year. This was sitting at some store. I actually got it for a really good price. I actually got it close to retail. So I grabbed it as soon as I saw it. So there is actually a pretty big difference here. This one is way more maple syrupy than I remember this one ever being. This one has those toasted notes on it. You definitely get the marshmallow. You definitely get the pepper. You get a little bit of butterscotch. But this one, the maple syrup and the marshmallow note on the 2020, a little bit more amped up here. Let's go for a sip of the 2017. All right, so the toasted notes on this come through more in the shape of cinnamon. Definitely some more sugars coming out. Getting a little bit more amped up vanilla in here too, and caramel rather than more the maple syrup note. When you compare it to the 2020. Yeah, the 2020 is somewhat similar, but I think, again, the butterscotch and the marshmallow note. And I'm getting a fruitiness on here that I'm not getting in this one either. This one is giving me a little bit of like a raspberry and citrus note on it as well. All right, let's try with the barrel strength rye. And these are the two that I really want to see go head to head here. So biggest difference here is this, I'm not getting the maple syrup. This is all caramel, vanilla, and spearmint and mintiness. There's definitely some mintiness here too on the 2020. You definitely get it on the back end. The pepper, the mint, the orange, the spice. But on this is kind of like sugared mint leaves, just kind of drenched in caramel and vanilla. Yeah, this one has a little bit more of a rye profile. You definitely could get the herbal qualities that mix with the caramel and the vanilla in the barrel strength rye. There's a spiciness to it. Like I said, there's an herbal quality to it. It's not that pickle note you get sometimes on rye. This is more herbal, more spearmint, more minty. Combine that with the vanilla, the caramels, all those rich flavors. Yeah, this is still one of my favorites. This one came in at 54, 109.6 proof, so pretty close. The 2017, 109.6. And then the 2020 this one's 110. So slightly higher than these two. But I think as far as 2020 goes for the toasted barrel rye independently, definitely one of the better ones that I've had. Easily like it better than the 2017. But this is a little bit sweeter. If you don't want it so sweet, if you don't want maple syrup, marshmallow, all those sweet flavors, if you rather have more of a traditional rye experience, but still on the sweeter side where you get the caramel, the vanillas, a little bit of cherry, but still keeping that mintiness, that herbal quality that a rye brings, then you could definitely stick with the barrel proof rye. All right, guys, for the final breakdown, the price on this is 85 bucks. Secondary has these at about 150 to 200, unfortunately. Availability on this is limited. Now, it's still difficult to find, but they do continue to release these every year in very small quantities, so you just have to keep an eye out. They also do release these at the distillery if you're ever in Louisville. For the value, I think it's even. I think given its uniqueness, being barrel strength, and its limited availability, I think 85 bucks is exactly where it should be. What would I pay for this? I wouldn't pay more than 100 for this. I would pay up to 100. You know, $15 more than MSRP. I do really enjoy it, and while it's limited availability makes you want to possibly pay more, it's really not worth over 100 bucks in my opinion. So do I recommend? I would say yes, if you like a sweeter rye whiskey. Now, for those of you out there that like a spicy rye or a rye with like a 95.5 mash bill, this would probably be too sweet for you. However, if you are a Kentucky rye person that likes a sweeter rye with a mix of both rye and bourbon notes, this will make you very happy. It's also barrel proof, but with Michter's using the lowest entry proof in the industry right now, an average of 109 proof makes this a sweet and flavorful sipper without going over the top. My only request from Michter's is maybe in the future, let's try making this non-chill filtered, guys. All right, everyone, well, I hope you enjoyed this review for the Michter's US1 Toasted Barrel Rye Finish for 2020. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit that like button. If you haven't yet, find me on Instagram, find me on Twitter. Subscribe to all the things. And let me know if you've had this before. Always love talking to you guys. What do you think of the 2020 release? Is this something you hunt? Is this something that's not of interest to you because of the sweetness factor? Always love talking to you guys. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey. It's the people you share with. So cheers, and I'll see you next time on The Mash and Drum. Take care.